Justice waits for no one, not even Dexter Morgan. The video opens in silence, just the emptiness of black. The audience is left waiting, hanging in suspense, forced to feel the emptiness that mirrors Dexter's inner void. A single heartbeat breaks that silence. The sound is loud, sharp, echoing in a way that makes the audience feel as if it's coming from inside their own chest. Then, with each beat, a subtle red light flickers on the screen. It is not bright, but it is unsettling, almost like the pulse of a dying neon sign. The red deepens, spreads wider, resembling blood seeping through cloth. The narrator's voice enters, calm but heavy, deliberate and measured, almost whispering into the void. Justice waits for no one, not even Dexter Morgan. This line is delivered with a rhythm that feels final, inevitable. The tone isn't angry or explosive. It's reflective, cold, the way a judge might deliver a sentence. As the words fade, the imagery begins. A blurred shot of the city skyline appears, drenched in shadow, tall buildings silhouetted against a pale, fading light. The city is alive, but it feels distant and detached, almost hostile. A police siren wails faintly in the background, echoing across the rooftops, reminding the audience that justice, in this world, is always out there waiting. The screen cuts sharply to the sound of a gavel slamming down. The image of the gavel isn't shown directly. Instead, the screen trembles with each strike, and flashes of light illuminate fragments of wood splintering, dust shaking loose and a shadow of a hand raised in judgment. The gavel becomes a symbol, not just of law but of inescapable judgment. Then, in quick succession, flashes appear, drops of blood hitting a white floor. A blade catching a glint of dim light, the surface of water disturbed as if something has just been dropped in. The images are fast, almost too quick to fully process. Leaving the audience with a sense of unease and anticipation, the voice returns, steadier this time, layering over the sounds and visuals. He has always lived in the shadows. He has always played by his own rules, but shadows grow long. And rules eventually break. The pace slows again. A single drop of blood is shown falling in extreme close-up. The sound is exaggerated, a sharp plink as it lands on glass. The drop spreads slowly, unnaturally, forming the shape of a scale, the scales of justice. For a moment, the audience is given clarity. This is not just about Dexter's secrets anymore. This is about balance, judgment, and the weight of everything. He has done. The imagery holds for a breath, and the red spreads wider, filling the entire frame until the whole screen is washed in crimson. The heartbeat quickens, echoing louder and louder until it drowns out every other sound. Then suddenly silence. The red vanishes, replaced once again by a black dot, and then text emerges in white, crisp letters against the dark void. Dexter. Resurrection. The finale. The section ends here, leaving the audience with a mix of curiosity and dread. The hook has done its work. It has teased judgment, hinted at inevitability, and promised the weight of justice finally catching up with Dexter Morgan. The black screen lingers for a breath after the title fades. The silence is thick, almost unbearable, but then the sound creeps back in a low, vibrating hum, like electricity coursing through wires beneath the city streets. The screen flickers, and with it, new images appear. A crime scene under a single flickering streetlight. Yellow tape flaps in the night wind, its warning clear, yet ignored. On the pavement, a dark red stain glimmers under the pale glow. The narrator's voice enters again. Steady and low, but now sharper, with a hint of urgency. The past returns. The lies unravel, and justice finally comes. As the line unfolds, visuals cascade one after another, each one sharper and faster than the last. A close-up of a blood slide sliding out of gloved fingers. A photograph on a police evidence board, tacked up beside dozens of others, threads of red string connecting names, faces, and places like a web tightening around its prey. Then the flash of a knife, but not wielded, just lying abandoned, its silver blade tainted with red, the heartbeat sound from earlier returns, syncing itself with the rhythm of the cuts. Each beat lands as a new image flashes, a morgue drawer sliding shut, a courtroom door creaking open, the reflection of a man's face in broken glass. The camera lingers now on shadows in an empty room, The room is dim, filled with dust and silence, but faint outlines can be seen, tools, straps, faint stains hidden beneath plastic. The iconic kill room atmosphere emerges, but it's empty. The emptiness is louder than anything else. The voice whispers, he was always in control, always the predator, always the one writing the rules of the hunt. But rules break when justice writes the ending. The image cuts suddenly to a courtroom. Not in full view, just fragments. The scales of justice carved into wood, the cold glint of handcuffs, a judge's gavel waiting, silent but ready. The hum of fluorescent lights buzzes faintly overhead. There's no dialogue, no crowd, no chaos. Just the tension of a room waiting for its reckoning. Now the visuals pick up pace, again weaving in fragments of Dexter's past. A body wrapped in plastic flashes for a split second. A splash of blood lands against a face shield. A child's drawing flutters to the floor, a haunting reminder of innocence lost. A family portrait burns at its edges, curling in flames. The pacing of these images creates a pulse, a rhythm that builds like the march of inevitability. The voice deepens, taking on the tone of a verdict. Every mask must fall. Every truth must bleed through, and when the scales tip, the world will finally see him for what he is. The screen goes white for a moment, blinding. Then it fades into a close-up shot of a single drop of blood traveling down glass, inch by inch. The soundscape changes. A faint echo of chains rattling, the shuffle of feet across a hard floor. A flash of imagery shows Dexter's shadow on a wall. Blurred, distorted, larger than life. The shadow moves, but Dexter himself never appears. This creates the sense that his very identity is being pulled apart. Reduced to a silhouette, a ghost of the man who once dictated life and death, the narration cuts in. Softer now, more intimate. Almost confessional. Dexter Morgan has always lived between two worlds. The life of a father, the life of a killer. But there is no more hiding. Not now, not here. The music swells, low strings that twist and build, trembling like something just beneath the surface. The images quicken again, flashing one after another. Blood slides shattered on the floor, scattering like broken glass. Police files stamped with the word confidential. The scales of justice tilting, red liquid dripping into one side until it crashes down. A faceless figure standing in a doorway, light flooding in behind them. The screen freezes on that faceless figure. The shadow stretches long, endless, consuming the frame. For a moment there is no movement, no sound but the faint echo of breathing. The pause is deliberate, forcing the audience to hold their breath with it, and then bold white text slices. Across the screen, Dexter, Resurrection, the finale, below it, in stark red, Episode 10, and Justice for All. The voice delivers the final words of this section, slow and decisive. The story ends where justice begins. The screen cuts to black again, leaving the echo of the line lingering in the silence. Asterisk, the silence from the last fade-out lingers. But this time it doesn't last. It is broken by the low growl of a bass note, deep and unsettling, vibrating like something hidden beneath the surface of the earth. It grows louder with each passing second, joined by the faint crackle of static, as though an old recording is trying to break through. The soundscape itself feels unstable, a warning that the story is unraveling. The first image cuts and suddenly, a flashing blue and red light tearing across the darkness. Sirens wail in the distance, their echo bouncing through narrow streets. The screen flickers between glimpses of city blocks drenched in neon and shadows. Rain drips down car windows, smearing the red and blue into streaks that resemble blood running down glass. The narrator's voice cuts in sharply, lower and more forceful now, carrying the urgency of a storm. Every secret has a price. Every sin leaves a mark, and every mask must be ripped away. The images accelerate. A knife glints for a split second before vanishing into darkness. A pair of latex gloves is pulled tight. A blood-stained slide falls in slow motion, shattering against the floor into shards that reflect distorted flashes of light. A police radio. Crackles to life, voices overlapping, tense and fragmented. Unit 4. Move in, before cutting abruptly into silence again. The heartbeat sound returns, but this time it is faster, more erratic. Each beat matches a violent cut of imagery. A door bursts open in a flood of light. Footsteps pound down a hallway. The faint silhouette of someone running, swallowed by shadows. A close-up of blood dripping onto concrete, each drop louder. Then the last dot, the music shifts now, strings joining the heavy bass, creating a frantic, chaotic rhythm. The screen begins flashing so quickly it feels disorienting, mimicking the panic and urgency of a chase. The narrator's voice cuts through, almost like a verdict being shouted in the middle of chaos. The hunter becomes the hunted. The predator becomes the prey, and the truth becomes a weapon. The scene slows suddenly, a hard break in rhythm. A single image fills the frame, a bloodied glove lying on the ground, abandoned. The silence after the chaos feels deafening. The sound of dripping water echoes in the background, steady, rhythmic, almost mocking the heartbeat that has vanished. The pause drags on, building anticipation for what's to come, then without warning, the chaos slams back in. The screen erupts with fragments. Police sirens scream louder. A gavel slams, each strike echoing like a gunshot. A woman's muffled scream is cut off abruptly, leaving only silence. The scales of justice tremble, a drop of blood tipping them violently to one side. The pace builds faster and faster until it's overwhelming. The screen flashes with overlapping images, crime scene photos, chains, broken glass, shadows of bodies wrapped in plastic. The effect is suffocating, relentless, as though the walls of Dexter's world are closing in. The narrator's voice, almost drowned by the chaos, pushes through with chilling finality. His sins cannot stay buried. His crimes cannot stay hidden. And justice will not be denied. The visuals slow once again, this time focusing on a single door. It is shot from below, looming, towering, as though it is more than just a door. It is fate itself. The handle begins to turn slowly. The music drops to a low rumble. Holding the audience on the edge of release, the door creaks open, revealing only a blinding white light beyond. A faceless silhouette steps forward, but the figure is distorted, stretched by the light, unrecognizable. The camera tilts slowly upward, and as the figure steps fully into the light, the screen cuts to black. The final shot of this section is stark, cold, and unforgettable, a gavel slamming down in perfect silence. No echo, no noise. Just the image of judgment. Text slashes across the screen in blood-red letters. Every secret, every lie, every drop of blood. Exposed. The voice delivers the closing words of this section, a whisper that feels colder than any scream. This is the reckoning. The screen fades to darkness once again, leaving the echo of sirens faintly in the distance. Like ghosts that refuse to vanish. The screen begins in silence once again. A black void, broken only by the faint sound of a single drip of water echoing in the distance. Drip, drip, drip. Each drop grows louder, as though time itself is counting down. Slowly, faint light seeps across the darkness, revealing the shadow of a hallway, long, narrow, endless, at the far end. A door stands ajar, a harsh white light spilling out through the crack. The drip continues, merging now with the low thrum of a rising score. The narrator's voice cuts in, lower than before, grave and deliberate. This time, there is no escape. The camera slowly moves forward through the hallway, each step synchronized with the beat of the music. The walls are lined with shadows, fragments of Dexter's past crimes flickering across them like ghosts projected from another world. A body wrapped in plastic, a knife in a gloved hand, a child's innocent drawing smeared with red. Each image vanishes as quickly as it appears, replaced by the next, leaving only a trail of dread in their wake. The screen cuts sharply, a judge's gavel slamming down. The echo is deafening. This time the sound doesn't fade. It lingers, overlapping. With the next images, a close-up of handcuffs being locked, a courtroom door shutting. The weight of inevitability grows heavier with each strike. The music builds into a pulse, Faster, sharper, almost unbearable. The images now come in bursts, relentless and suffocating, police boots storming into a dark room. Evidence bags filled. With blood slides, a knife being sealed away in a case. A blurred photo of Dexter pinned to a board. His face marked with a red circle, the narrator's tone hardens, no longer whispering but commanding, like the final word of a verdict. The hunter becomes the hunted. The predator becomes the prey. The shadows cannot protect him anymore. The screen slows again, pulling into one single image, a pair of scales, tilting back and forth. One side empty, one side dripping with red. The tension builds as the scales wobble, the sound of dripping blood sinking with the music. Finally, the scales slam down hard, shattering into fragments across the screen. The explosion of imagery that follows feels like a storm breaking, Dexter's iconic blood-stained gloves falling into darkness. A faceless figure standing beneath. A harsh spotlight, frozen like a criminal on trial. A knife clattering across the floor, spinning to a stop. A scream, cut short, leaving only silence. The music escalates into chaos, strings shrieking, bass pounding, sirens wailing. The heartbeat returns one last time, faster than ever, erratic, desperate. Each beat matches the flash of a new image, blood smearing across a courtroom floor, the shadow of a jury, the slam of cell bars. Then, silence. A single shot fills the screen, a faceless figure standing in the doorway of the courtroom. Their shadow stretches forward endlessly, swallowing everything in sight. Behind them, the blinding white light pours through, but it doesn't feel like salvation. It feels like judgment. The faceless figure takes one step forward, and the entire screen goes black. The narrator whispers, calm and final, as though delivering the last words of a sentence. The end is written in blood. On the black screen, bold white text appears. Dexter, Resurrection, finale promo beneath it, in crimson, episode 10, and justice for all. The gavel slams one last time. This time there is no echo. Just silence, and then the closing words delivered in a chilling, almost serene tone. Justice comes. The screen fades out, leaving nothing but darkness, silence, and the lingering weight of inevitability.